reach, who's king? Southpaw switch, lead hook, chimping. Scorecards, rematch, who got rubbed fast? All on the B&D Podcast. It's the B&D Podcast. Big clash, rounds, belts, big gas, lock it. The B&D Podcast. It's the B&D Podcast. Big clash, rounds, belts, big gas, lock it. The B&D Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the B&D Podcast with your hosts, Base the Kid and Danny Glover from Fight Fan TV Network, and we are delighted today to be joined by Miss Coach Christine Lopez herself, in the ring with Christine. If you've not seen the YouTube channel, make sure you check it out. Some great content on there. You still doing Women Crushing It Wednesdays?
I am. Y'all can tune in tomorrow. I don't know what time it is for y'all. I think like 2 a.m. or something. But yes, 8 Central, 9 Eastern tomorrow with the ladies talking boxing.
All right, we will definitely be plugging that for the people in the channel. But how are you, Christine? It's been a little while. Let us know what's been going on.
It has. It has been a little while. Things have been good. And I'm so pleased and honored to be on y'all's show. I love it. I mean, from what I'm seeing, y'all are doing good. I love the background. Y'all are doing it, and I can't wait to get started. But everything's good. Working in the gym, doing the shows. Life is great.
Okay, we're gonna delve into that a little bit later. Danny, how's everything with you, my guy?
Yeah, all's well. Good show at the weekend. Thank you, Base the Kid, lifesaver, because I had work 7 a.m. in the morning. So if it wasn't for you, I don't think I would have got any sleep. So yeah, man, helped me out big time there. Taking me and picking up Master Aficionado Jr. On the way back. I could see you was tired.
The kind of friend I am, man.
Yeah, man, I love that. The sacrifices you make, so much appreciated.
Cool. All right, so look, let's get straight into it because we haven't got Christine for a long time, so it has to be a good time with everyone else.
Always.
Right, so what we're going to do, we want to start on your neck of the woods, Christine. So we want to start with some of the action that took place over the weekend, right? I just want to get your opinion on the fight card in Orlando. Obviously, I don't know if you saw all of it, but mainly we're looking at Carlos Adames and Amo Williams, as I know isn't he a Texan like yourself?
Yes. Amo has come up through the boxing program with one of my sons. He and Amo fought each other. They became really good friends. I know his wife Shariah. She was on Team USA at one time. I love this couple. I love these people. But I definitely was a bit concerned whenever I found out that he was gonna fight Adames, because it's no secret that Amo does not have the best defense, and we know that he's had some troubles in the past. And I just wasn't sure how he was going to handle the fight. And honestly, if you follow me on Twitter, I was like, stop the effing fight. Like, it broke my heart. I did not like seeing it at all. It was total destruction. I think Amo had the first round, maybe half the second round, but after that, I mean, Adames, he really took over and took control.
I hear that. Now, it's funny you say that because it was one of those fights for me, right? I could have understood if someone did stop it, but when I was watching it, it was the most, and I said this on my weekend wrap, it was the most entertaining one-sided fight I think I've ever seen. Because as much as he wasn't in the fight, he was in the fight, if that makes sense. Yeah. Even in the rounds where I felt he was getting totally... So I've got a feedback somewhere. Is that me? Is that you, Danny? Oh, wait, Danny, you're on mute, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm on mute, so it's not me.
Christine, leave your mic for me a second.
Is it me?
No, I'm not sure if maybe someone in the chat can. It sounds like a static sound.
Audio crackling.
Oh, you can audio, yeah, but I'm not sure where it's coming from. Oh, let me mute myself real quick.
Okay, I don't hear it anymore. Maybe you're the problem. No, I don't hear it anymore. Do y'all hear it anymore?
Yeah.
No, it's Christine.
Is it me?
Mute
Okay,
yourself.
let
Mute
me
yourself.
mute myself. Let's see. See, I'm just I'm trying to mute myself on here.
Yeah, I think it's you. You might have something on in the background because it wasn't it wasn't there first, and then it just sort of
Oh,
randomly started.
okay. Okay. Is that it? Did that clear it up?
I'll tell you what, jump out and then come back in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Definitely, yeah. I think it was Christine. As soon as she gets that one sorted, we'll bring that back in. Yeah, Danny. So what I was basically rapping with you, like, I was yeah, like it was a fun fight to watch. Now, Ammo was getting pieced up and destroyed for a long portion, but you could see that even though he was never going to win it, he was always he was in it. He kept being he was one of those ones. It's like he was in the fight even though he wasn't in the fight. He made it competitive. I do think if it had been stopped, I would have had no complaints because there was points he looked like he was just like he was just waiting to be taken out. But like the heart he showed was one of the reasons why basis picks I predicted it will go points because I just didn't see him getting stopped. I feel like he's too tough for his own good. Maybe the corner should have like gave him some maybe they should have protected him from himself. But I don't know. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, well, he got dropped heavily in the second round, and I was surprised because the shot that put him over, that sent him up like flying, it was a double straight, but it's like the second one didn't look like a big power punch. I was like, right, you kind of flew there. I was like, oh, that's a bit alarming. But as you said, yes, he wasn't going to win, but he had his moments where he landed big shots. A couple of them did alert and affect Adames, but it was never a thing where you thought, oh, he's about to go, and Adames would fire straight back. And then also, I think it's the 11th round when Ammo's gum shield got knocked out, and he started looking to the ref to kind of help him out, like, hey, my mouth guard's gone, please put a lull in the action for me. I thought, oh, he could have got stopped there for that because that's a sign of capitulating, surrendering. But the ref didn't even let him wash the mouthpiece out, just stuck it straight back in his gob and made him fight on with a dirty mouthpiece. And then he got through the 12th and lost you could see his nose was broke, his face was bruised up. But yeah, he showed a lot of heart. But it just shows you how hard a guy like Hamza Shiraz hits, because he took out Ammo Williams just like he took out another person who we're going to speak about later on, possibly in the show, in 2 rounds. So yeah, man, Hamza's a real big deal. But yeah, big ups to Carlos Adames once again, showing an impressive performance and display of his skills. And yeah, he's a great champion.
Alright, there's still a slight bit of technicals with Christine, so we'll just wait until that's sorted and then we'll bring her back in for that. Alright, yeah, so in your opinion, where do you think that both Carlos should go next? Apparently he's moving up to 168. Do you think that might be a good move for him, or do you feel like he should maybe sort of stay there and wait for the 154 guys to come up, because they're not long for that division, I'd reckon?
Yeah, I think he should wait for the 154 guys because he's not that big and he's not tall. So I think it would be advantageous and better for him to wait for the 154 guys coming up, because he came up himself. And also there's some other champions he could try and unify with, if possible. So I think 168 is a bit too big for him. Them guys are a bit too wham. So I wouldn't advise it necessarily.
Okay. Was there anything else you saw on that card?
The Corey Marksman, good performance. He was, even though they were both unbeaten, it seemed like I forgot the first guy's name, even though I had him on
Jacob Gomez.
Yeah, Jacob Gomez. He was the favourite going into it, but Marksman, yeah, he did some good shots early on. snapping the head back. But it was a good back and forth fight, close fight, but the right man got the decision, and I'm happy for Marksman getting that getting the result there. So that I saw that fight as well. That was the only two fights I saw from that card.
All right. Danny, talk to the people one sec. Let me dip off, speak with Christine behind the scenes, yeah?
Yeah. Yes, people. So how's it going? Let us know in the chat in future any topics you want us to talk about. Hold on a second. Yeah, anything you want us to talk about, any subject matters, any fights, any news and exclusives, we can. One second. I don't know if it's coming through yet. Yeah, so anything you want us to talk about, please let us know. Also, please be sure to subscribe to Base the Kid at the Hardcore Casual, and be sure to subscribe to Danny Glover at Fight Fan TV Network, and also sure to subscribe to Christina channel. Also, the link this will be in the description box when this is fully loaded.
Okay, right. So while we're waiting for that, right, so let's talk about where we were on Saturday down at the Copper Box in East London. What was your thoughts on that card overall?
Yeah, it was next genish, which Eddie Hearn did actually say and he knows that people may think that it could be next gen, but he's kind of moving away from that kind of name, as he feels that he wants these guys to push on. There was some exciting fights, some interesting tops and turns, i.e. with Layli Buta Leach,
Layli Buttergy.
Layli Buttergy versus what was his name?
Jake Goodwin.
Yeah, Jake Goodwin, where his mouthpiece, kept coming out, lost a couple of points, was on the verge of either potentially being DQ'd or losing on points due to it. And he pulled out a knockout of the year contender. I thought at first he hit him whilst his knee was on the deck, but on the replay I saw that he hit him whilst on the way down before the knee touched, so it was all legal and kosher. So yeah, that was a good result, man. But overall, I thought the fights was good. Yeah, Jimmy Staines on the card, George Liddard, Giorgio Vizioli. I think that Giorgio Vizioli had the most dominant performance out of everybody, even though it wasn't probably the most exciting to watch. Even though he got a knockdown as well, but he kind of just couldn't finish the dinner, could he? Unfortunately, and yeah, some very close and potentially controversial scorecards on the night as well.
Okay.
What about you?
I mean, look, I thought, to be honest, I wasn't paying a huge amount of attention to the card early, but I was keeping an eye on everything, and there was no fight that bored me. Even the Vizioli fight, I don't think I was bored watching it. It was just a situation where the fight itself, you could just kind of see where it was going. So it was one of those ones. I don't necessarily mind inevitable fights, but it's all about, can it be inevitable and not sort of a repeat, repetitive throughout the rounds. And I didn't really find the Vizioli fight like that, to be fair. And credit to Levi Giles, he tried to make a go of it, unsuccessful. But it was one of those situations where Vizioli got the knockdown. I think it was the third round or the fifth. It was one of those two. Like, there was definitely possibilities to step on the gas and really try to go for that stoppage. Obviously there's certain times when you can tell, all right, a guy's he's either not right to be taken out just yet, or it's a bit too dangerous to maybe try and press the action. But I don't really feel like that was the case with Levi. So if Giorgio could develop a little bit of a killer instinct, then I feel like I think he's gonna go fairly far anyway. But I feel like if he develops a killer instinct, he could be a big star. of the British scene, about a year or 2 years from now, when he's been sort of tested at a bit of a higher level. But in terms of the actual, the other fights on the card, like every fight except possibly Jimmy Sains and Derek Osaze, I think the correct person won. I mean, Buttigieg, he took it out of the judges' hands, so he won. Lidard did, he did get one over on Tyler Denny, although it looked I feel like it looked a lot closer than it was, because Tyler was manhandling him quite a lot. But in terms of just like, I guess, clean, effective work that you can score in a boxing match, George did have a lot more of that, in his game. But yeah, the Jimmy Sains and Derek Osaze thing, I mean, my position on it. We were literally talking right next to each other, and I said to you, I bet this is going to be a majority decision win for Jimmy Sains, with one of the judges going to score it a draw. And lo and behold, I was correct, because I could just see it. That was one of those fights. They couldn't give it a UD, but they also couldn't have Derek win. And even though I thought Derek did enough to win it, I scored it a draw. I know you scored it one round to Jimmy. And then obviously shout out to Georgia, if she watches, Georgia Cook from our esteemed media panel. She had it 1 round to Derek Osaze. So it wasn't a terrible result. I guess there was one terrible scorecard, which just kind of made the rest of it look not as kosher and credible as it should have been. But I mean, overall, I thought it was a pretty good night. Which was your fight of the night? Because I know you paid quite a lot of attention to them, more than I did, especially early on.
I'd say fight of the night was Lady Buttigieg and Jake Goodwin, because of such of the drama and stuff like that was going on. And anytime he was hitting him with these little jibby little uppercuts, and he was just getting his mouthpiece out, just jolting his mouthpiece out. I was like, oh my god, what is going on here? One time he even picked up the gum shield off the floor himself and just put it back in his mouth. He just thought, no, please, ref, just allow it, please.
He tried to put it back in, didn't quite get it in. Referee took it, said, and he took him to the corner, got it washed off, and there's another point. He's like, no, we're not doing that. And the thing is, some people was thinking like, oh, the guy's actually he's spitting out the mouthpiece to get time. But when I saw that, I'm like, you can't accuse him of spitting it out. If you're prepared to now, take it off the dirty floor, just put it straight back in you must, that must be accidental.
Yeah, it's a malfunction mouthpiece. He probably, I don't know if he just tried it on that day. But you got to have a better team and come better prepared than that. The first time when his mouthpiece come out, I thought he spat it out because there was a body shot that hurt him, and he was like on the move and stuff, and then all of a sudden the mouthpiece come up. Okay, you're trying to get your wing back. Then all of a sudden these things just coming out for nonsense. I'm just like, what's going on here? So I just realised this is actually a badly malfunctioned mouthpiece. But George Lillard versus Tyler Denny, that was a really good fight. Round 11, as everyone's been talking about, they see as a round of the year contender. As many of you guys know in here, that Tyler Denny is a friend of both me and Based. So yeah, that's our guy. But obviously George Lillard, I'm affiliated with George Lillard and everyone from the Matchroom stable for obvious reasons. So yeah, but yeah, that was a very good fight as well. The Jimmy Sains one, very close. He got hit far too much. He's shown explosive power in the past. His punches, he rocked Osaze a couple of times, but it seemed that Osaze managed to hurt and back up and pin Jimmy Sains on the ropes a lot more times, and Osaze was never on the ropes getting teed off on at any moment, where he was able to really roughhouse. And I imagine Jimmy Sains and George Lillard are going to share horror stories together over breakfast or lunch or dinner, since they've known each other since little kids. Of like, oh, that Dill boy, man, these are nightmares, and for Winnie, like, so when he hit you there, like, did that one hurt, and he's really tough, and he's just, so yeah, he's just giving them both fits really. So big ups to Del Boy, and I hope he gets more opportunities in the future. I know he put out a statement that he felt that he should have got the result, but he understands the game. It is what it is, but he's not happy about it. With George Liddard, very good start. He was buzzing Tyler Denny quite a few times early on, where I was thinking, oh, I hope he doesn't stop Tyler. But once Tyler warmed into it, the punches did start to bounce off of him, and he started using some, roadman science tactics, putting George Liddard in corners and cuffing him up and headlocking him and cuffing him up and all that type of stuff, where George was more on that technical, sweet amateur boxing style and skills and stuff like that, and the finesse. He's very confident, cheeky, Jack the Lad type, where Tyler Denny's more rough and rugged, even though his entrance song is about, Hyman grinding gal, but that's another story for another day. But yeah, when he's that was a very good fight, some back and forth action. If Tyler had like serious power and stuff like that, it could have been a different result, because he landed some very good body shots. Even George Liddard admitted that he took too many body shots for his liking and Tony Sims's liking, and some of the headshots that was really snapping and whipping George's head around. Tyler did himself very good, and he can definitely go on from this. I hope he doesn't think about jacking it in. I think that he can come again and win that British title he has always wanted, and the Commonwealth as well, because he is a former European champion, English champion. Yeah, man, big up.
So do you think when he, I guess when George decides to vacate, or, if he wins it outright and he decides to vacate, do you think maybe they might put Jimmy in there with Tyler for that British and give Tyler that opportunity sort of like a year from now? Or do you feel that Tyler's going to have to sort of go away and build up and try and get himself in a mandatory spot for the British title or something?
Well, if they're going to do it in a year's time, Tyler will be active in that meantime. So he probably will, because it seems a lot of it is like feels like George Liddard gets sent out as the trial run, test the waters, and they put him ahead of Jimmy, and then Jimmy comes behind and sort of gets what Liddard's already done afterwards, doing it with the titles, doing it with opponents now. So if Tyler's still around in a year's time, I can see that potentially happening. I know they were talking about with George Liddard at the post-fight presser, that they wanted the Liam Smith fight that night, and they potentially want it in the future. But I had mentioned that I would prefer, and how about getting George Liddard in there with Stephen McKenna, who's a young prospect. I saw Ra Hockham mention that in the chat. But yeah, if you managed to check out Fight Fan TV Network, I did mention that in the scrum talk. So yeah, I did manage to get that question in there, and they said yeah, potentially so, which I think would be a very good fight. Probably, yeah, that'd be a very good fight, in my opinion.
Well, you said, if it's in a year's time, Tyler will be active. But as he said in my interview, he's not with Boxer anymore, so he hasn't got a deal. And that could be an issue, because without another promoter behind him, I don't think he's the kind of person that you give your up-and-coming guys to, or your people that need stay-busy fights. So without the backing of another promoter, I don't know how many opportunities he's going to get, unless they're going to be like the toughest of the tough, which is basically what his entire career has been to this point anyway. Do you know what I mean? So yeah,
well,
I don't
he's
know
done. Oh, sorry to cut, but yeah, he's done a few fights on the Black Country boxing scene, so I think he could still get a couple of fights there. And hopefully, I think surely he can get picked up by somebody. He's a brand name, so I feel he can get picked up by somebody and get a couple of fights in the interim. And then what you do, you build him into, because it's how the game goes. You keep him there, get him a couple of wins, and then you put him in with a Jimmy Saints. Like, even someone like Eddie, snapping him up, get him in a couple of fights, just to fatten him up, and then feed him to Jimmy Saints afterwards.
Okay, fair enough. All right, look, ladies and gentlemen, looks like we got the lovely Christine back with us. I think we got the technicals sorted out for the
Uh,
most part.
I hope so.
It
Do you
sounds
hear any
good.
crackling?
Sounds a lot better.
Oh, thank God. Sorry, guys. So
No worries.
sorry.
No worries. Listen, before we go to the next topic, because that's something I really want your input in, I want to go back
Yes.
quickly to Amo and Adames and that card. Were there
Yes.
any other fights on that card that you had interest in?
Well, I obviously, because of Team USA, had a big interest in Omar Jones, our bronze medalist. In the beginning, he was knocking everybody out, and everybody said he needed rounds. So he's gotten a few rounds, and then people say, well, he probably should have knocked him out. And I'm like, we have to like pick and choose what we want. Do we want early knockouts? Do we want him to get rounds? But I really believe that he proved why he is where he's at. He boxed beautifully. He showed why an amateur background is so important to me. Um, it's not always like a standard, but I think whenever you have that amateur background behind you and then you go into the pros, you have so many more tools, in my opinion. And he looked beautiful. He looked great, in my opinion.
Okay. Did you get a chance to take a look at any of the Pro Box card?
I did not because I was on the zone, and then I did go to Pro Box whenever. Lester Martinez. I did go back to see Lester. I was
Okay.
very interested in that fight. It was a big step up. People say he's the next best thing. Others are like, I'm not sure. He hasn't fought really anybody, but he really showed that he is the real deal. I thought that was the best I had ever seen him, in my opinion, and I can't wait to see what's next for him. And he made
Oh,
history.
yes. All right. Before we move on, just a quick comment on the MVPW card, the fight that they paid for on the card with Camarillo andCio, so IsisCio, and obviously that horrid knockout that occurred in the first round. You
Yes.
being obviously a coach and being an amateur, amateur coach, and being someone that would have to sign off on a fight like that. What was
Yeah.
your opinion on, I guess, MVP doing that matchmaking to begin with? With a girl who quite clearly doesn't have the skills to really be in the ring right now.
Well, the matchmaker's job is to make the A side look the best, and they're going to choose the B side that is going to make A side look the best. Then it is up to the B side's team to say yay or nay. I did not know until after the knockout that she had just been in a fight before and been knocked out. Now, for me, and I don't want to pass judgment, but for me, looking on the outside, I'm like, shame on the team because being knocked out, it takes quite a while to recover from that. Sometimes you're suspended, 30, 60, 90 days. And I think she just fought, correct me if I'm wrong, 90 days before this fight.
I think it was
But you
in
still have to
January.
have that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you still have to have that recovery time, gym time. And to me, it was very fast. One thing that we have to remember is that boxing is a business. These matchmakers and promoters, they see dollar signs, right or wrong. So it is not their responsibility to take care of or care about a boxer's health. It sounds very callous, but it's true. It's more about the coaches, the family, the team, and the boxer themselves that need to take care of their health. And that's just my opinion.
So do you think though the fact that they allowed her to fight was because in the previous fight where she did get knocked out, it was a body shot that done her. It wasn't a head shot. It wasn't concussion. She got dropped to the body and counted out in that sense. So they thought, well, if that's the case, she should be okay to go back in. Do you think that factored into it, and would that still be the right approach from your point of view?
I think that probably her team looked at that like it wasn't a headshot, it was a body shot. But again, we have to remember these matchmakers are wanting the A side to look good. So they knew this girl had got knocked out, and most likely she'd be stopped again or at least beaten, you know, easily or not easily. So she was a good she was a good boxer to put in to make their boxer look good and to play out well because she's what 18, 19. She's feisty, she's good, she's beautiful, she's going to draw people in. But again, I think that it was about her just being stopped that they chose her.
Okay, Danny, what were your thoughts on that situation?
Yeah, when it's a body shot, I know you still get 28 days, but because it's a body shot, the commission, when they do go to, they wouldn't really pull her in for a review because it's not a headshot, so they're not going to be having to do brain scans and things like that because it's not a RHC headshot. So with a body shot, you're thinking, all right, get this, as Christine said, she's there to make the opponent look good. So the opponent is probably going to most likely get told, hey, she's soft to the body, hit her to the body. Last time out, she got done. She's going to go again. Unfortunately, it was a headshot that done it, and there was bad ramifications for it as a result. So they are going to definitely have to review her and medicals this time round now, because it's now a lot more severe than a little body shot where you can voluntarily go on your knee if it hurts.
Well, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I think based on sort of everything that's happened, the fact she's had the sort of the two back-to-backs, I guess people seeing her in the ring and I guess how she looked in the previous fights, I don't think that she's of the necessary standard to even at this point be a journeywoman, and she's that young. It's probably best for her to not continue, and I would think hope that someone would look seriously about either withdrawing her license or making her like or putting her on sort of like an indefinite suspension until she has to go maybe in front of the committee or something and do like a sparring match with someone to to prove that she's got the necessary skills to be able to take care of herself, because you can't be having that back to back, especially when she wasn't just like knocked out, like she was out cold and then started convulsing on the floor to the point she's being put in a medically induced coma for 2 days. That's that's sort of coming after the trauma of whatever happened in January, plus the fact you can see that she's not really good at defense from what I saw of that fight, and then I went back and watched the other fight that she was in, the other one earlier on in January. So I mean, I've got no idea who she fought in her first fight to actually get the victory, but it just, I don't know, maybe that's me taking a bit too much of an extreme view on it. But whether she's not in boxing at this point making like crazy money, I feel that there is a way that she can pivot to something else. Christine, I know as a woman, it's a different perspective, so maybe you've got a different thought to that.
No, I agree with you, but I think that she needs to be under doctor supervision, and she needs to have a doctor's release. I think that she needs to be examined and checked out, and a doctor has to either sign off on her fighting again or not. Because it's very dangerous. She's very young. It's not that serious. Like you said, she's not making like so much life-changing money. She's on the beginning of her journey. So I think that I agree with you. And I think we have to go a step further, and a doctor really needs to check her out and sign off on whether she can fight again or not.
Cool. All right, so next one, big news that dropped yesterday. Jaya Patel officially been stripped again for his IBF cruiserweight title now that he's signed with Zuffa, and is obviously the Zuffa cruiserweight world champion for whatever that is worth in this day and age. Danny, your opinion? I mean, the opinion on, I guess, him getting stripped of the title again, and also I guess the fact that he's in jeopardy of losing his ring belt as well, because he hasn't fought someone in I think it's the top 10 of the ring rankings that you're allowed to have a fight with every 18 months. And he's obviously been foul of that since the last Breeders fight, not of his own doing, but he could lose that belt too. What's your thoughts?
I think he's been badly advised, unfortunately. He signed up to a deal where it seems he was promised one thing. The money, I feel, was the incentive. You have to remember, this is a man where he said his first 18 or 19 fights, he didn't get paid. So he didn't even get a wage. He fought for free like he did in the amateurs. But he didn't even get a trophy or a meal deal at the end of it. But he's been promised certain things. He was told that he can still defend his IBF title whilst on the Zuffa platform. That was not the case. I think he is a bit naive. You have to remember also that he is from Australia, where it isn't a big boxing bed of boxing and information and stuff like that. So he's got himself into a sticky situation here. He's been stripped before. He's been stripped again. With the Ring Magazine thing, I think he will be able to keep it, but providing that he fights Michaelian next, which I do think will happen. So he'll end up getting a belt, but it won't be a unification, will it? It'll just be him collecting another solo belt, if provided he wins, that is, against no Michaelian. Zuffa now, with this situation, I feel other boxers are going to start looking at that platform as not as advantageous as they first thought, as that it was going to be a game changer and shake up the room. But then there'll be other fighters whose incentive is to get those boxing purses, because we know they're paying a lot more to boxers than they are to UFC fighters, and they talk about the great facilities and the meal preps and all this type of stuff. Brandon Glanton, even though he had a face looking like, well, I can't even tell you, but he was singing their praises to the cows come home. So there is pros and cons to it. So it depends what you want. Are you in it for the money, the fame, the legacy, the accolades? You then have to decide whether Zuffa is the right fit for you, or if you go to another route to one of the more conventional promotional outlets. So Jai Pattaya needs to think long and hard about that, because he's now going to be at a crossroads potentially in his career of what direction it goes. So he needs to think long and hard about that one.
Well, I mean, Danny, you say that, but Michaelian, let's not forget, he's with Don King, right? I don't know how quick Don King's gonna be to join the Zuffa party, but also he's got the WBC belt. Now, what's the number one sanctioning body that Dana White has gone after with Zuffa from the get-go? WBC. I don't know if Mauricio Suleiman is gonna sanction. He might follow suit with the IBF. And if that's the case, I don't think Michaelian's gonna be willing to drop that belt, because that's the only way he's getting paid at this point. And then, I literally feel like Jai could be on an island by himself at this point if Zuffa don't get this thing sorted out with the rest of the sanctioning bodies. And then if that's the case, he's gonna have that Zuffa belt, but he's gonna lose the ring. He's obviously lost the IBF. He's gonna be there by himself fighting the second and the third tier, which is the same thing he was getting criticized about before. So yeah, for me, I feel like he's in a bit of a rock and a hard place, and I don't even think that them trying to get the lawsuit that they've now tried to put in place against the IBF, I don't even think that is going to bear much fruit, because in the IBF's bylaws it quite clearly states what it states. Now, whether they've chosen to misapply that previously, that's to their discretion. On this particular occasion, if they're holding to their bylaws, it's very hard for them to, in my opinion, be able to to argue that. But I guess we'll have to sort of wait and see. Christine, in your opinion, when it comes to, I guess, this situation, I mean, how do you kind of see it? How can you see it maybe progressing forward?
I see that Zuffa came in like a wrecking ball, like this big bully on a playground. He brought his own ball. He said nobody can play with their balls. They got to play with his, and it. I just really have to wonder how much money was Jai offered and paid, because we know that he wants to be undisputed. He stated that he wants to be undisputed. And then, he's also stated before the fight that that the IPF belt was on the line. And then we find out it wasn't, even though Dana allegedly paid the $80,000, sanctioning fee. And they even had inspectors go down, and then they left. So it's like everything is very unclear, and I'm not really sure how things are going to go. It seems right now that this part of the boxing is a joke. What are we going to do? Are we, yes, we want to fight for legacy, but we also want to fight for money, or vice versa. But it seems like with Zuffa, you're only fighting for Zuffa and Zuffa build, and how much money are they actually getting, and is there a cap that we've heard of? How high can he go? And who's going to want to play with him? Who's going to want to do the deals that they're doing? So I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. I mean, is boxing broken? We have so many new players, and it looks really murky right now.
I hear you. All right. I'm trying to think. We had. Oh, actually, Danny, you know what? Because that's all the stuff from previous, right? Let's take a look for what's kind of coming up this week, because we got a few interesting bits. Now, first things first, we've got Mr. Moses the Talma and Jermaine Franklin, so that's something we need to get into. But we've also got Keith Thurman and Sebastian Fundora, which is kind of going under the radar on this side. But let's talk about Moses real quick, so that obviously I know Christine does have to get out of here really soon, and we appreciate her time. But Danny, give us your thoughts on Moses as a Talma, obviously, and then the Magnificent Seven as a whole. We can't go into the whole thing as much as we might want to, but yeah, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, Moses is Talma. He's getting. I'm seeing some videos coming out here and there. What's his name? Jermaine Franklin. He's now based himself, staying in Luton at the moment, training with Don Charles. So he's in a good camp, probably sparring with Danny Dubois and Tony Yoka, etc. So he's getting good work, and I imagine he's training hard. Always showing a durable chin. I hope that the haircut hasn't taken away his punch resistance. The strength of Samson. But I do expect it to go points if he still does have that strength of Samson and that iron Michigan chin. So and then the other fight that I'm really looking forward to is obviously Mr. Hutchinson versus Ezra Taylor. That will be a very entertaining fight, I believe. I want Ezra Taylor to win. That's obvious. Whether he can do it is another story, but I think it's going to be an entertaining fight, and I look forward to it.
All right, Christine, what's your opinion on Moses and Jermaine Franklin?
I think Moses is amazing. I think he's one of the best heavyweights that we've seen, in history. And I know that, people are like, in history, yeah, I think so. He has got so many amazing qualities. Besides the knockout, he's got great feet, feints. I mean, everything. Like to me, he is the whole package. I don't think Franklin is very tough. He has a lot of knockouts as well, but I don't think that he's going to get through Moses. And Franklin's American, and I have two other Americans that I really like, Richard Torres and Josh Edwards. But Moses right now is the top dog for me. Like I can't point out a flaw with him. I really can't. Maybe against Franklin, we'll see something that he exposes, or somebody else in the near future. But for right now, I think he is a great specimen, and I'm very excited to see what he's going to be doing in the future at his young age.
Okay, and I guess while you're here, Sebastian Fundora and Keith Thurman, what's your thoughts on that before we let you go?
I've been going back and forth. I really have. Keith is very tough. He knows how to get on the inside. Fundora's younger. He's long. He's using his range now, his length. But I feel like Fundora is going to close the show. I believe that he'll get his hand raised only because he seems like he's not. He kind of has 1 foot in and 1 foot out, which he's had for years. And I feel like Fundora is young. He's hungry. He's got both feet in the game, and he feels like, or he knows that everybody's on his heels, and he has to really show out. So I think at the end of the night, I don't think there's going to be any knockouts, but I do feel like Fundora's going to get his hand raised.
Okay. Right, Christine. Let the people know where they can find you. I'm gonna link your channel.
Yes.
Your channel's already linked in the description, but we're gonna put it in the chat as well for the people here. But let us know where they can can see you.
Absolutely. You can catch me on all my social medias. In the Ring with Christine, the original In the Ring. And every Wednesday, Women Christian Wednesdays, the ladies and I talk boxing. We have great guests on, or we just talk amongst ourselves. I have 2 other beautiful co-hosts, and that's every Wednesday, 8 Central, 9 Eastern, U.S. So please tune in, please subscribe, and guys, it has been so amazing. I'm sorry I had some technical problems, but I'm going to get it fixed for the next time. This has been really fun.
Well, don't worry, we'll definitely bring you back in the future. But listen, enjoy training. I'm gonna speak to you a little bit later on anyway. But yeah, we'll speak to you in a little while.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.
Peace. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, what we're gonna do, we've got one more thing that we want to discuss before we get out of here, and that is John Fury dropping a bit of a bombshell on old Tyson, letting the people know that he is they're no longer speaking. And not only are they no longer speaking, he's basically saying that the Wilder trilogy has taken it all out of Tyson. He's no longer the same. He said that his legs are shot to pieces and his trainer's ill-equipped to sort out the issue. Danny, I don't know if you watched the interview, but what's your opinion on John Fury maybe letting out some of the family secrets, or is he playing possum to get people interested in the fight?
Yeah, I watched the full interview, and I dropped some quotes in that when I did a post. A couple man was thinking, because they were shocked at the post I did, and they was like, "Oh, where's the source? Is it true?" And then Spencer Oliver had to. This was on Facebook actually, and Spencer Oliver actually put the link to the pod on there with himself and Charlotte Daly. So yeah, then people were shocked. But yeah, no, the interview was out of the blue, wasn't it? It was like it was not. There was no lead up to it. There was no rumor reports or anything like that. It was just 1 minute they're in the house with their shoes off talking, and next minute he's just going in saying Sugar Hill is a gym sweeper. But yeah, with the Wilder trilogy, I think it did take a lot out of both men. I agree with John Fury there. Tyson Fury afterwards, he's getting dropped by an MMA guy, and we know MMA guys don't really know how to punch like boxers. You're getting floored by him. Usyk had him on the canvas. I know John said he didn't go on the canvas. He did when the ref jumped in quickly and gave him a count, because he could have just really just detonated one on his jaw there. So yeah, this big lummox of a man in Makhmudov could pose some problems, because he does have good amateur pedigree as well previously, as well as looking like a very intimidating figure, and he has power. As far as the relationship goes, it is sad that this is happening so late in the story and journey of Tyson Fury, who said he was retired. He's now made a comeback, and I think it's because of the comeback, John's saying that he's not happy with it, so they're not speaking because he's giving him the honest truth. But I don't know. We'll have to hear Tyson Fury's side, because he was at the press conference originally screaming and shouting and threatening Carl Froch and all that, and threatening Steve Bunce. I don't know, has Tyson Fury had enough of him? Told him, you've got to stay out of the limelight now. You're headbutting team members. You're doing madness. You're causing just a scene, and just I know the Fury name's in disrepute anyway, but you're just really degenerating it to a new low. So we don't know. There's two sides of a story. And with Tyson Fury, yes, he probably hasn't got the legs that he once did, especially when you're abusing your body, drinking and getting carried out, and your face planting yourself in the middle of the street in Morecambe. But hey, he wants to make a living. John Fury didn't get nowhere near as far as him, and it's weird because recently I remember seeing him and John on the pads on a caravan site doing pads. So it's like he was endorsing the fight 1 minute, the comeback. But as John said, he said he wanted an easier touch opponent. But how easy did you want the touch? And with the easier touch, is that going to get the Netflix deal? Is it going to get the wages that Tyson wants to motivate him to get out of bed and do a hard slog of a training camp? Because the pictures I've seen, he has lost a lot of timber. So that's what it is. He is money motivated. I know. He screams that. He's pretty honest with it, even though he does lie and say he's going to give it all to the people of LA and the charities, but that's another story for another time. But I don't think it's one of those ones where he's trying to do the remake of Chris Eubank Senior and Junior. That's a bit silly because it's like it's not going to work. So I just want to hear Tyson Fury's side of the story because that would be really interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, as you said, it kind of just come out of the blue. Just, it was less than a month ago that they were together. So when he's like, we don't talk. Well, how long have you not been talking for? Was it just like maybe the week you did the week you've done this sit down interview? Has it been since the press conference? Have you not been? Have you almost not even been talking before then? But you've kind of shown up to to just try and show some loyalty to your son, thinking maybe you can make amends, and then he's shunned you at the press conference, and now it's like, okay, so I really know it's not. It's not the one. And the Sugar Hill Stewart thing, I mean, that part, let's be honest, he's had it in for him ever since Sugar basically, since he let the cat out of the bag that, that Tyson hadn't been training and he wasn't actually preparing for a fight, and he was lying about trying to, he was ducking the Usyk fight and all of that stuff. And, John's like, well, why is he talking for? He's like, he's supposed to have our back and blah blah. So he's kind of had it out for him ever since then. I mean, if he's gonna say that Sugar's not, well, who is the right guy to train Tyson? Because let's be honest, Tyson ain't getting any better. Like, you're not gonna get a trainer that's gonna teach him something new that he hasn't heard before, that he's not done before. He's just it's gonna be the same work up and down. All it's gonna be is maybe someone conditioning, maybe just to keep him locked in, to make sure he's doing his runs, rather than maybe saying, okay, well, I'm supposed to do 10 miles, but I'll do 7, like, or whatever the case may be. Outside of that, what else are they really drilling in? So it's one of them ones where it just feels, the timing feels off. But if they are genuinely like on the outs, I ain't gonna lie, well, there's gonna be 2 problems with that. Number one, it means that he's gonna start getting sympathy now, and he's gonna do the media tour, and like, my dad won't talk to me, and I'm trying to, all I want to do is just work things out, but it's blah blah blah, and then go on that one, and then that's gonna give him grace for when he has the bad performance against Makhmudov. Well, things have been difficult, they've been tough, but I'm a fighting man, and you just gotta get through it. And you guys, if you're battling with something, don't keep it hidden, let it all out. And he's gonna do the promo press tour on the mental health and well-being and family matters, and I almost can see it. I'm telling you, that's what I've got in my. If that happens, you guys know that I've seen the pattern. I've clocked the pattern from day. So that's the only problem. See, when they're unified, it's easy to be like, all right, these ain't necessary, or in their persona. I'm not gonna say them as actual people. I don't know them as people, but in their persona, they're not nice people. But now this is almost a chance to do another rebrand. And Tyson, he's good at doing the rebrand, he just can't sustain them. That's the problem. He's done a couple rebrands where people, even myself at one point, I was almost like, I'm starting to take to you a little bit. And then, within a few months, he was back to being Tyson. I was like, okay, yeah. And then from there, I kind of clocked, all right, this is always just a pattern rather than anything else. This feels like the new pattern to me. And then and then obviously it would be probably talking about something to do with it on At Home with the Fury season 2. I'm pretty sure there's gonna be some seeds of the bus stop in that, which takes place the day after the fight. I'm just, it's the circus, it's the show, but it's a show that I haven't paid for, and that I'm not really wanting to watch, but I guess it is something worth talking about, and we got to kind of, speak on it.
Yeah.
If you haven't got any sort of comeback to that, we got one last thing to maybe just bring up before we bounce.
Yeah, no, I've just got, when you asked about who does he think should train Tyson, he said when he was asked about who he feels was Tyson's best trainer, he said that it was his brother Huey who's passed away. So, there's another shot at Peter there, and just like trying to not give him in any ratings when he was with Peter when he was very successful, etc. So that's one day that's all going to come out as well. What really happened there? But yeah, John's on one, ain't he? And when you think about it, at that presser, I don't remember Tyson actually with him. He was just walking around, having a rant on his own, weren't he? He was just waltzing around, screaming at Carl Froch on his own. So did he just turn up uninvited and just went on a rampage just to try and sabotage the event? Who knows?
Maybe. It's a fair question and it's a fair point. All right, very last one before we get out of here. Ryan Garcia been doing the rounds again. So, previously he was saying basically that, Terence Crawford, he felt was overrated, and that his resume wasn't, he hadn't really beaten any sort of active or any real good guys. Now he's basically doubling down on that, but he's essentially saying that Terence ain't no good, and Terence ducked Boots Ennis, and he's saying that Shakur's ducking him. And then, he's saying, Terence was talking about him, etc. He's like, but I could give him that work at 154. Like, he ain't never dealt with someone like me before, etc., etc. I'm not gonna ask you to spend too much time on it. Ryan Garcia, is he just trolling? Is he clickbaiting? Does he really believe this stuff? Is he just trying to keep himself relevant in the news? What's your opinion?
I believe it is a marketing play. Remember, this guy is from a YouTube background. He's got that Jake Paul streak in him, and he's keeping himself, one, in the limelight and relevant, because what a lot of fighters do, unfortunately, once they have a fight, they just go radio silent, their social media dries up, nobody sees anything, there's no post, and then they hit you with a poster and go, hey, I'm fighting, buy a ticket and tune in. It's like, well, where you been for the past 7 months? So Ryan knows how to keep himself in the limelight, and remember, what he's doing, what I feel he's doing is, he is trying to goad Shakur Stevenson into fighting him, and the way to do that, you don't just call him Shakur Stevenson out. You then call out the man who he respects the most in Terence Crawford. So then Terence Crawford will be, go and mash up this brother, man, for me. And then Shakur, obviously being the YN as they call him, the young G, he's gonna go, yeah, do you know what? Let's do this, and then it builds the fight. And then Terence Crawford's involved in the build up, and you get another Netflix deal.
Okay. Well, I don't feel like I need to add to that. I think you summarized that quite nicely. Danny, tell the people where they can find you, what you're up to, what you're doing currently, and we'll be able to get out of here today.
Yes, so you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Fight Fan TV Network, and also on Twitter, Twitter, you know the drill, at Danny Glover FFTV. What I've been doing, providing videos, doing interviews at shows, at events. Hopefully I get some more accreditations and I can cover more events and stuff like that and bring more news to you. I've been doing some short vids as well here and there as well, getting that in the bag. I am been speaking to the master aficionado Prince, who's in uni. He's doing computer science and computer engineering. I should have thought about why didn't I just holler him from ages ago. So he's going to help me do some things where I can start leveling up my game on this YouTube space. So look out for that. I'm looking to jazz things up a bit.
Okay. Right, well, as you guys know, look, Basic Kid, Hardcore Casual on YouTube. I'm going to start doing the TikTok again properly. I've got basethekid.thc on TikTok. You guys know the Instagram is just the Instagram. It's not specifically for boxing. If you need that content, you can find me on the old TwitX at B_A_S_E. But yeah, look, other than that, there's going to be more content from both our channels throughout the week, so look out for that. You're going to see us at a few press conferences and other areas, other things as well moving forward. So yeah, just sort of keep your eyes peeled. and we can leave it there. Danny, I know that you haven't been able to do it for a couple of weeks, so let's get it out of the system. Do what you need to do.
I thought you'd never ask. And there you have it, guys. It's another episode of the B&D Podcast. It's Danny Glover. It's Base the Kid. And remember, guys, persistence beats resistance. You know where it is.
Peace.
Chat stats, pop jabs, reach, who's king? Southpaw, switch, lead, hook, chin, ping. Scorecards, rematch, who got rubbed fast, all on the B&D Podcast. It's the B&D Podcast. Big clash, rounds, belts, big gas, lock it. The B&D Podcast. It's the B&D Podcast. Big clash, rounds, belts, big gas, lock it. The B&D Podcast.